Another manic Monday. Come on, you know how it goes sometimes. I wish it was Sunday. Now, yesterday, because the Eagles lost, just another fun day. Come on. Another manic Monday. All right. What's up? What's going on out there? I hope you're feeling good. And I know you're looking good, even if you're still in the bed. But it is now around noontime in Philadelphia land on the East Coast. So, you know how you talk about different things and, you know, we go through different stuff. Like we talked a lot about the Puffy thing. Thanks a lot for people who were able to tune in and see all of the stuff going on with Puff and all that. So I really appreciate you guys checking that out and, appreciate it. But what I want to talk about right now is, and excuse if there's some loud music outside by some ignorant Negro, but that's okay. What I want to talk about is what the title says. Some people are pieces of crap, just to be nice about it. And just like anybody else, you know, you have these times, you have these situations where you go through things with people, and after you get a certain age, because like I always say 35 and up, you know, you feel like you pretty much should know what's right, what's the wrong thing to do, what's good, what's bad, what's left, and what's right. But amazingly, some people don't know. So that's why, fortunately for us in this new era of media, social media, and all this other kind of stuff, you know, we can get the message out. So even if they don't happen to see us having this conversation about this, at least in somebody's mind, it'll be a conversation. So that way you can either share it with somebody else or you can relay it to them yourself. So when I say some people are pieces of ish, and, you know, because I always give shout out to my boys, you know, when we talk and have conversations about this stuff, but like shout out to Ray, because in his words, some people are just ruined. I say some of them are rotten. Some other people say they're spoiled. But in his definition, he says ruined. And I'll tell you why that is so apropos. Because, as I said in the beginning, most of us know right from wrong. But there's a lot of us who have a problem knowing how to do right from wrong. You know, like I'll give you for instance, because, you know, like I said, you know, you try not to embarrass people and all this other kind of stuff. But once upon a time, there was this guy and he had kids. And so, you know, just like most guys, you know, for their birthdays or whatever, they like to be around, guess who? Their children. So sometimes we know the relationships, they don't work out. They go people go their own separate ways and everything like that. And you understand, we all understand. Hey, listen, we don't deal with each other anymore. I'm going to move on. You're going to move on. But even in that moving on, you try to have boundaries. You try to have respect. Hey, look. Remember, you and I used to go there all the time. So, you know, what I'll try to do is that I'll try not to maybe frequent it as much with my new folks because, you know, hey, listen, I understand that's a place that you may have put me on. You may have, you know, we've shared many meals, many laughs, many different deals here, double dates, all kinds of other things here. Or, like in a story of a guy that I know that I heard, you guys aren't together. Somebody has your kid or kids up, and it could or could not be their birthday or birthday weekend. And what does this piece of ish decide to do? Well, I'll tell you what the piece of ish decides to do, from what I heard, is that they would rather decide to have their kid for their birthday weekend around another person. Now, of course, this other gentleman, he has nothing to do with it, because you know how the game goes. I know how the game goes. All she is, for real, is just a piece of tail, and that's the way it is. And if not, if it's something more further going on, still, that has nothing to do with me at all. But as in the words of Ray, when you're ruined, when you're a piece of crap, you don't know how to work your way back to being a decent person. It's just not in you to be a decent person. You ever met one of these people before? You ever met a person like that? People that intentionally move their kids far away from you. People that intentionally try to put you on child support and do any other things. And I know you're going to say to yourself, oh, well, isn't any of this stuff personal? Well, maybe some of it is. But the one thing that we can't do is let the pieces of ish stink up the world. And because obviously these pieces of ish that have nobody in their circle to tell them, hey, look, you're being a piece of ish. And I'm not going to support you being a piece of ish. Nobody wants to be the Lysol. So then it's left on the few of us to say, hey, look, piece of ish, get your ish together. Because you cause too many problems. You do too much dumb stuff. Nobody should have to live in a world where, and I get it's 8 billion of us, give or take. But if you want to be a piece of ish, be a piece of ish for you. Don't be a piece of ish and stink up everybody else. Because you stink. Because you're dirty. Because you're filthy. Why do you want to have everybody else smelling like ish? Because you have no home training. You have no respect for anybody. Like I tell my own kids, you don't respect your mother and your father, you won't respect anybody. And then guess what? I don't respect you. You got these people walking around here acting like everything. And once again, because, this isn't most people. Because I think, and I'm going to believe until the day that I die, that most people on this earth are good, decent people. They're good, decent people. And this is also a reason why I acknowledge and give more respect to people who have gotten married. You want to know why I give more respect to people who have gotten married? Ray and Tia, Kevin, Janae, Ron and Michelle. You know why I give more respect to that? Other people who've gotten married. My man Kenny, when he was married. It's because if they were good enough to marry, then they are probably going to be great parents. If they were good enough to marry, if it does dissolve, they will probably be great co-parents. But when you are a dummy like me and you didn't take that step to do that beforehand, where you marry before you carry, sometimes you are going to run into the most stupidity you've ever witnessed in your life. And you're going to be surrounded by ish. So even though you don't stink, even though you took a shower, even though you put on your degree deodorant, you are surrounded by somebody who stinks. And it may not just be me, it's other people too. So I got to speak sometimes for the other people that don't speak out, because one thing is that guys are supposed to be like, oh, I ain't saying that, or like a man's supposed to be emotionless, like I'm supposed to be some kind of stoic guy. No, F that. Because when there's kids involved, people got to step up and say something. Y'all let these moms take these kids to New Mexico and all these other goofy places, and nobody steps up and says nothing. No family member steps up and says, hey, look, cut it out. Cut it out. Or what I'm going to do is that I'm going to side with the parent that's right and say, yo, I don't care who you are, we're against you. Because you're not doing what's right for the kid. You're not doing what's right for communities. Because you know what? You're ruined. You are a piece of ish. And that's what this is about sometimes. Just being real and just getting out. No notes, no nothing. No talking about nobody else except me, other people that I know, other stories that I know, other things that I know about. And if you happen to hear this, I hope that you are one of the people who stand for doing the right thing. Who stand for saying, yo, we're not going to keep doing this kind of foolishness over and over again. Because you know what some people do? They will take situations and they will exacerbate them and they will make them blown way out of proportion to a place where stuff happens. And like I tell my friends, and I always say, everybody's not a me. Everybody's not going to say, you know what, yeah, you know, just because you're a big guy, you know what I'm saying, you know, they're just going to walk away. Unfortunately, that's why in this country we have so much violence against other people, because either the person who commits the violence is a piece of ish that probably came from a piece of ish situation. But when other people feel like they can take advantage of good people, then eventually, or at some point, some of these good people get tired of having to have to, for lack of better words, turn the other cheek. Then, oh, everything is upset. Everything is thrown off. I guess for me, why I get so passionate about these things, because like I said, you know, at a certain point in your life, you know, you realize and you say, hey, look, I know I still want a lot of stuff, because you can still have your own wants and needs and goals and just different things like that. But when you got kids and when you see kids, and especially as me being a black man in America, and I see the plight of a lot of these kids, or enough kids, because I don't want to say that because people will misconstrue it like I'm saying all kids, a small portion of kids that definitely can do better. But they got to have better parents. I always say to myself all the time, yo, G, you got to work on being a better parent. But I tell you what I wouldn't do. What I wouldn't do is that I wouldn't expose my kids to somebody who I have not already introduced to their mother. I wouldn't expose my kids to people seeing me romantically linked, possibly with somebody else, before I'd introduce them to my mother or their mother. Probably and my mother too. But see, that's what good people do. That's what good people do. And pieces of ish don't understand that. Because you know how it is, like, when you're a piece of ish, you already know you stink anyway. So what happens to a person that stinks anyway? After a while, they can't even smell their own stink. Some people are just bad people. And, you know, we live in a world where there's a bunch of different people, a bunch of different personalities, and how they choose to conduct themselves. And it's hard. And to my people out there that know, it's hard. When you try to be a good person, a decent person, not a perfect person, because none of us are perfect. But when you try to be fair, that's the best word I could use for it. If you know that you're being fair and fair to people, it bugs you when people are not fair to you. And just like many other men, I'm a man. I'm a big man. I don't put my hands on women. I don't put my hands on anybody, to be honest with you. But unfortunately, there are a lot of people, or enough people, that do. So as I'm saying this, I'm saying to all people, whether you are a piece of ish or not, be decent to people. Try to treat people as well as you can. And if you can't treat them well, stay away from them. Don't be around and stink up the whole place. Don't be around and just be a deterrent to other people. Why keep putting off your stink onto somebody else? Because once again, when you're ruined, you're rotting. And when you're rotting, you're stinking. And the only way that I could see to get over that is, eventually you rot away, or you go get some medical help. You get some psychological help. So that a doctor or a professional, because I told you I worked at a psych hospital for almost 13 years, go get yourself some help. Go get yourself a shower. Get yourself an emotional cleansing, an emotional shower. Because as a piece of ish, you stink. You're a rotten individual. And thank you, because I had to get that off my chest. I did. But I also had to get it off my chest for the other hundreds of stories that I always hear about, where you got good, decent people, especially good, decent men, trying to do the right thing. But there's always all these deterrents so that he won't. And I know in certain communities, in the black community and stuff, we got our own set of issues and different things like that. But you know what? When you have, I'm not going to even say people, when you have a piece of ish that consistently tries to cause problems, tries to do harm, or whatever, they need to be locked up. I won't say what else they probably need to be, because that's not me, but they need to be locked up. But, I want you to think about it, and, if you get a chance, write a comment and tell me what you think. Because I know we've all gone through it. Because, and what we're going to talk about maybe one day this week is, you got to have pain with joy. You got to have sunshine with rain. I know I'm saying it a little off, but you get the point of what I'm saying. So life isn't always going to be this great thing. But you know what it would be? It would be a lot better without some of these pieces of ish walking around to stink stuff up for you and me. But that's just one guy's opinion. You ever step in ish before and you keep stinking and you keep smelling it all? You're like, dang, I hope I didn't put that in my car. And you keep smelling it over and over again. And you feel like to yourself, dag, you know what? Depending on what sneakers they are, you may throw them away. But you be like, you know what? I got to go wash these sneakers. I got to, scrape the bottoms of them and all that other kind of stuff. Well, that's what, if you got a piece of ish in your life, hopefully that's what you do. Get them out of your life if you can. Or put it like this, keep them to a distance if you can. But while you're doing that, come on, let me think about it. While you're doing that, while you're cleaning those sneakers, getting those ishy people out of your life, just remember to live life and don't let life live you.